Okay.
So we have a very special guest today. We have Priscilla Imprane, and I hope I pronounced the name correctly.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, with a company from Ghana called Aboveo that makes the best product ever, chocolate. Everybody loves chocolate. And so Aboveo participated in X-Culture last year, and then we invited them to participate again. It was a very popular challenge. Chocolate, everybody loves chocolate, but also when we think chocolate, in most cases, people think, maybe Italy, maybe Switzerland. But turns out there is chocolate made in, for example, Ghana. And I think that's a wonderful thing. It's exotic, it's interesting, and it's probably as good or maybe even better than some of the more known brands. And so today we want to talk a little bit about the company, its history, its product, the founder. And then if you have any questions, that's your opportunity to ask those questions. So Priscilla, we lost your video stream, but we can hear you. So if you can maybe tell us a little bit more about the company, how it all started, and what kind of products you make, and then we will go, there are some questions that we would like to ask as well. Yeah, we can see you too now.
Okay, sure. Okay, so yeah, Aboveo was founded in 2006, November 2006, but it actively started operations on January 2000, in January 2008. Well, it's gone through struggles, tough times, but gradually it's beginning to make a name. As usual with startups, we always go through, big problems like funding, trying to get a market, trying to get people to believe in us. And then machinery, because the chocolate business is no mean feat. Because with chocolate, to get to where people actually appreciate the taste and everything, the packaging. In fact, everything has to do with packaging and taste. So, I mean, if you work your way through that, staying on course, making sure that you're focused, and with constant training, and adding value to yourself, you eventually get there. So when I started a company, even though I started some with my own funding, I quickly realized that I couldn't get to where the big giants had reached, because they had everything. They had machinery, they had the market shares, they had so it meant that I had to start from real scratch. So I approached one of the country's biggest cocoa processing company, which belonged to the government of Ghana, and then gave them one of my recipes to produce for me, because I didn't have the machinery. So we signed an MOU, and that's how I started. So, mind you, I had returned from Germany because that was where I was based. Okay. So that's how I started, and so I started slowly, and then I had this crazy idea that, look, because people didn't know my product, why don't I do something for people to realize the great product that I had? So I started customizing for the blue chip companies, like the financial institutions, and people who were celebrating something, who didn't know what to celebrate with, or how to reward their customers and clientele, customer base. And so fortunately for me, Barclays Bank was celebrating its 90th anniversary. So I approached them and I said, hey, I've got this wonderful product that I can show you, and so you can reward your numerous customers, so that they also in turn reward you with loyalty. So they were very excited. So I they gave me the contract. I supplied the whole country with that. So then people started recognizing me. So with the little money that I got from that, I started buying a few machinery that would help me to achieve that. And at that time it was just one product. Just I had this little thing, like it looked like Maltesers. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I leveraged on that and started, so then it became something new and very exciting. So people started calling, institutions started calling. So before long, I had a lot of contact with the financial institutions, some hotels. Because I remember Novotel approached me, so I was doing some for Novotel. I did a lot for the other financials and people who are celebrating something. I mean, some kind of anniversary or something like that. And then I brought in the packaging. I designed the packaging, the pouch, the sachet that that could enable me to commercialize it. So then with the help of some friends, where we got some vehicles that went around, supplying to the stores, supermarkets and stuff. I mean, it was tough sometimes, yeah, if you don't get the delays in payments like that, also delayed payments, other things.
Of
But
course.
hey, I stayed the course. And so with every little money that I got, I invested in something. So, people also started asking me, why don't you do real chocolates? I said, yes, I'm going to start very soon. But then because I didn't have the machinery, I also, I was buying couverture, already prepared, untempered chocolate from cocoa processing. So, that's what I started. But I found that it was rather expensive because they were selling to make money. But then, I mean, it means that I was also in direct competition with them, which meant that I could never sell at their prices. I had to sell higher than their prices. And a lot of people will not understand that, especially Ghana, where people, I mean, the economic situation, people will not be able to afford that high-end chocolate. And also, if somebody is hungry, chocolate is not the first thing that comes into your mind, because then chocolate was viewed as a luxurious product.
Right.
So on it went until the president of Ghana at the time, President Kufuor, launched National Chocolate Day, which meant that wherever you were, if you're Ghanaian, you had to enjoy chocolate on that particular day, which happened to fall on Valentine's Day.
Right.
So that also gave me some form of leverage. Then my creative, look, I'm very creative. So with my creative ideas, came up with, nice packaging that could depict the chocolate day. And so it also got me in another business, supplying to most financial institutions and some telecom companies like Vodafone, MTN, and so forth. So with that little money I made, I started gathering a few machinery. So now, even though I haven't gotten there yet, I think that I'm on the right path because I bought a few things which could help me. And I also went outside Ghana to do some training to hone my skills on chocolate making. And then with some networking with other people, other chocolatiers and stuff, gave me more ideas. So now I manufacture my own chocolate from bean to bar with very exciting packaging, and which I also sell in the supermarket. So, I mean, even there, like I said, I'm not there yet. I'm yet to acquire bigger machinery to put me on the global platform.
Yep.
So, stage in my business life, getting funding or some kind of partnership will be very welcome.
Yeah. And so you started the company alone, or are there any other partners, or you are the sole owner?
I'm the sole owner because, like I said, nobody will partner you if you're nobody. Because Ghana, chocolate is viewed as a luxurious product. A lot of investors think that when you invest, it's going to take a long time for them to get their return on investment. So it's like, okay, you go ahead, let's see how it pans out. So if it pans out beautifully, then I can invest in your company. So even though I had a few offers, I realized that it was not a fair deal. So I decided to go with a loan and try hard to strive to be there. So it was not surprising when I got nominated to go for a conference in the U.S. Hillary Clinton invited me over to the U.S. There was a conference for African women, and so I attended, and that also put me in limelight because I was interviewed by CNN. So now I've been put on a world map.
Right.
Then I realized that suddenly I had to. I mean, I wasn't there. I had to work hard to get to where I had to get to. So that's my story.
Yeah. What does the name of the company mean, Abovo? Where did it come from? What's the meaning?
Aboveo means, it's funny, when I was at school in Germany in the University of Mannheim, I had this literature lecture, which we got to a stage where the lecturer was telling us about, like Aboveo, a medias res, an ultimas res. So the word Aboveo caught my ear. And when I researched it, it meant from the beginning. And it also meant from the egg, which is Spanish Latin. So I love that because Aboveo, for me, is from the beginning,
right.
And from the egg.
Yeah, the origin. Okay, that I didn't know. That's an interesting one. Now we have a few questions about the product. So you said you're specializing in chocolate for special events. So you're not making just candy that you can buy at a store. So it's more like specialty chocolate, or?
No. I make them I sell them in the stores as well.
Anytime you have some examples of your products, like I'm not sure if you're at the factory, but do you have some?
Oh, I came into town to have a meeting. Oh boy, I didn't come with the.
No problem. See it.
Next time, I think I showed you pictures, right?
Yeah, we have some pictures. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, but so when we say chocolate, then so what it would be like candy and chocolate bars, or is it?
Okay, I make chocolate bars. I make the gourmet, like the Ferrero Rocher type.
Yeah.
Gourmet, yes, so I make them, depending on the order. Sometimes I make them with liqueur. I make them with ganache. I make them with, all kinds of filling. And then, I also make them plain with different flavoring. So all these techniques, I learned them when I went out for training. And every time I produce, it always starts giving me, it gives me a lot of ideas. So I always add to what I have. Okay. And then I realized that, okay, I need this equipment to get to the next level. And I strive to get it. Yeah. However small it may be, it makes people recognize me. So, and then one thing that I realized that when you make products affordable, you become the go-to person. Yeah.
There is a question from Samarth Dora. What percentage of the revenue is from specialty events, and what percentage comes from candy and chocolate bars? Right.
Okay, now before COVID, I would say 50-50. Before COVID, I would say 50-50. Now with the impact of COVID, because gatherings are not allowed, so that has become like maybe 10%. And then more of the commercial is like 90%. Yeah.
Almost every company that participates in Xculture this semester has been affected by COVID. So we have one company from Singapore that organizes corporate events like corporate celebrations and festivals.
Right.
Obviously, all that business is now stopped essentially. Then we have another company that is a ski resort, tourism, obviously, again, much of that is stopped. And I didn't realize that it would affect chocolate, but you're right. If the companies do not do the celebrations.
Yeah, that's right. And now people are watching their pennies. Right. So, so if you're pricing, you need to price to, the little margin that you put onto, because you need them numbers.
Yeah.
So you could, the kind of, margin, the kind of profits we used to enjoy before has been cut down. So what you have to do, you have to be creative with trying to make the numbers instead of the profit. So that you can use the little that you have to turn around. Yeah.
There is a question from Monica Ordonez related. So during the pandemic, so how much did your company suffer, and how are you covering the losses for not producing that part of the revenue?
Okay, now what happened was that I had to lay off my workers. I mean, basically because I didn't know where they're coming from, because when you're coming from town to work, I mean, you don't know where they've been. So you don't want any, you don't want to, contract. And so that was stopped. So whatever I did, I had to do myself. So, so then orders from the supermarket stopped because they were also reeling from, so they were selling basically essential products like rice, oil, those little things. Yeah. So when the president lifted the ban, he started easing the restrictions. Then I started seeing some orders. So, I mean, the orders were not coming in thick and fast, like what they used to. So they were little, but so that enabled me to survive, because then imagine if I had workers, we had to, pay them, had to look for, money to pay them. So that was just, I just had to squeeze myself and then do what I could.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in terms of the ingredients, all of those components, oil, cocoa, whatever else goes into the chocolate, are all of them local from Ghana, or do you source them from different countries?
Yes. Fortunately, cocoa is from Ghana. I mean, we have cocoa.
That's the main ingredient, right? I assume that's the most expensive component.
Yes, cocoa butter. So and then sugar.
And sugar.
So yes, sugar. So the other little ones that came in that were imported, fortunately there's some around, so I could source them. And if there were any that I couldn't buy, I had to rely on friends outside to send them in by courier,
right,
like DHL or FedEx or something. Yeah. But the main ingredients, which meant cocoa, the cocoa butter, sugar, yes. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a problem.
Now we have several questions. Vinit is asking, and then a couple other people, about the geography of your sales. So do you sell most of your products locally in Ghana, or are you selling to different countries? And if so, which ones?
Okay, now with the right now I'm selling locally. I used to do a few sales across the border, like Togo, Nigeria. A few people used to pick them up. But now all the borders are closed. Mm-hmm. So you cannot send anything out. And even if you were to ship them, that was going to cost you an arm and a leg. Yeah. So that will also thereby increase their prices. So that has been suspended. But now that the border has, things have been eased, airspace has been freed. There was a company in Eastern Africa, two companies, one in Uganda, one in Rwanda, that we're talking to about the possibility, and they're really excited about it, about the possibility of sending chocolates over there. So we are still in talks.
Yeah. And for the students, again, obviously the main focus is how the company can expand into new markets, but it would be a good idea to do some research in terms of what are the new regulations for the shipments. So is it even allowed to cross the border with the product? I mean, are there any special additional certifications or inspections in place? So that would be something to keep in mind. In terms of the size of the company, we have a few questions. So I understand that now these are times that are a little strange, and you said you had to lay off some workers temporarily, but normally how many people work for you? Like, how big is it?
Okay, on the average, I have 10 people working for me. Mm-hmm. So if I have like an order from, any of these, if I have a big, huge order, like maybe around Christmas or, National Chocolate Day, that's when I hire extra people, because then you have a short time to deliver. You have a limited, so then I have to bring in extra people so that we can execute within a stipulated time. Mm-hmm. So then I get, so maybe instead of the 10, I bring an extra 10 or 15, depending on the order. Yeah.
Okay. Now there is a question from Milena Markovic. She's asking, are you making only chocolate-based products, or you make other types of sweet candy?
Or just chocolate-based, cocoa-based products. Yeah.
There is another question from Vinit Gupta. What is your major advantage over your competition? So what makes you special compared to other chocolate producers?
Special is being able to make ideas on the spur of the moment. get create. I mean, I'm very creative when it comes to packaging and stuff like that. You know, developing new recipes, and also with overheads. I don't have large overheads, so if I have to make a decision within 10, 15, 30 minutes one day, I can make that decision. So I'm able to serve my clientele at a much quicker pace than the other bigger companies. And
That's a big advantage of a
mhm.
small company because you can move swiftly. You don't have a board
Yeah,
of directors that need to approve your decisions.
right,
Yeah,
right,
that's a big deal. Yeah.
yeah.
In terms of the buyers, so who are your main buyers then? Like, what is the main segment? What is the type of demographics or population or types of customers who buy
Okay,
the products?
my product segment. I have a product that's for adults, a product that's for children. So the children, the one for the children the pebbles, the one like the Maltesers.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the adults, I have the bars, the chocolate bars, and the gourmet. The gourmet is the one that is like the Ferrero Rocher. That one I can do it with liqueur according to their orders. And I also have another product for older people and diabetic people who don't eat
Ah,
too much sugar. Yeah. So then I make and they love it in dark. So they want dark chocolate, but not too much sugar. So I have like 80% dark, from 70% to 90%. So I have maybe 70% dark, 80% dark, 90% dark. And that I sit down and develop the recipes myself.
so yeah, that's another question that came up. So who comes up with the recipes? Is that
I
something?
do.
So do you what's the process? I mean, we buy chocolate, but nobody knows how it's made. So do you experiment?
Okay.
Like
Okay.
how does one come up with a new chocolate flavor?
Okay. So for example, the training that I go to, they tell you the possibilities, okay? And then based upon the little, the foundation that you have, you also build upon that. Okay, so I have little machinery that helps me test. Okay, I put the recipe down. I say, okay, let me use 70% of cocoa nibs roasted, and then let me add this and that, so that I can, I can see how it comes out. And if it's not too good, I tweak. I just keep on tweaking the recipes until it becomes perfect, and then I give it out for tasting and feedback. So it's the feedback I get from the taste that make me realize that it's either good or bad, or have to add this or that. So that's how it goes.
Interesting.
So yeah. So if you want to know the process of cocoa, you first of all have to roast the beans, okay, at a certain temperature.
Uh-huh.
And then after roasting, you put it in a grinder. And then in fact, you have to, after roasting and taking off the husk and everything, you taste the bean to make sure that it's not burnt. Because if it's burnt, it means that you have to add more sugar or something to mask the burnt. Yeah, but because I've been doing it for a long time, I know the right temperatures to use. And then after that, depending on the recipe that I'm doing, if it's milk, I add my milk. If it's dark, I just add the cocoa butter, and in the percentages according to the volume that I'm churning out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also make white chocolate. So it's just
It's a little different. Yep, yep. There is a question here from Vinit Gupta. What is the minimum order that your firm can handle? If I wanted to, for example, for my celebration, is there like a minimum that you have?
No. Some people want to get especially when they come and then they ask you for something. I see that most people just want to taste your product, and then based upon what they taste and if they like it, then they bring you more orders.
Right.
So I use it as like an experiment, like, okay, this person has asked me for this. It always challenges me to give up my best. So I don't minimize anything.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there is a question also about the cost of production and pricing. Can you give us some rough estimate of, I'm not sure if you're sort of able to disclose those numbers, but how much does it normally cost to make a plate of chocolate? and how much do you normally sell it for?
Okay, for example, local prices. Let's just say you do you make a bar of chocolate, considering all the ingredients. Okay, let's say if it costs you about $2 to make the bar, okay, you would have to sell it for about $4 because you have to factor in a whole lot of things, your utilities, your labor, and all that. So it's between 40% and 50%, and everything depends on the recipe, the ingredients that you use. Because, for example, if you get an order and they say they don't want too much sugar, if you lower the sugar, it means you have to increase something in there. Whatever you increase, that will make an impact on the outcome. Because bear in mind that recipes like cocoa butter and milk, they're very expensive in the ratio of the recipe. Okay, cocoa butter is very expensive.
Right.
Sugar is not so much, but cocoa butter and milk. So if you're doing something like milk chocolate, and funny enough, milk chocolate tends to be cheaper. Milk chocolate tends to be a bit cheaper than dark, because with a dark chocolate you have to use huge amounts of cocoa butter. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. So depending, like I would say, it depends on the recipe. White chocolate costs more because you use more cocoa butter, and milk is the most expensive, followed by dark, and then milk.
So there is a question here from Samart Doram. So the question is, how much does the cost go down as the volume increases? Like if you had really big orders, would that reduce your cost per bar?
Yes, because that's the scaling. Okay, and then because then wherever you're buying the ingredients from, when you're also buying in bulk, you also get a certain discount. That's how it goes.
Another question about competition. So who are your main competitors? Are those the big multinational companies like Nestle, or is it mainly local little producers?
Well, there's one local company here that makes, most of their production goes out, they export. But the little that they sell on the economy, locally, the price is a bit high. And then that one, and there's a cocoa processing, which belongs to the government of Ghana, with a few Ghanaian shareholders. Yeah, that's one. And most of the ones, okay, right now there are little companies springing up, like artisanal chocolates, which are now springing up. Yeah. But they are struggling because they will have to buy, because majority of them, about 80 to 90% of them, don't have the machinery. Right. So they depend on CPC to buy the couverture, which already made chocolates, to also, and now the business is, down because of the COVID. You don't have many people, organizing events anymore.
Yeah, of course. Marketing. So how do you market your products? What kind of advertisement do you use?
Okay. In the beginning, I had TV commercials. I had TV commercials which were approved by the Food and Drugs Board. The first commercial that I had, it was aired on 5 TV stations. Even though it cost me an arm and a leg, it made the product well known. And I did a second commercial, which I didn't put out yet. I just shared it, among a few people who wanted to see it, because then I was just weighing my options. Do I want to do the commercial on TV, which would bring more demand and which I didn't have capacity for? Or would I want to invest that money in machinery and get ready for the demand? So right. I decided to invest in the machinery, the little machine I could get, to rather prepare me for that kind of exposure.
Yeah, and that's a very, very good question. Capacity planning, sort of, you always have to be very careful with this. Yeah. Yeah. Now, several students asked, what are your biggest challenges at this time? So what are your sort of biggest obstacles towards growth?
The biggest obstacle is funding, machinery, because making chocolate has everything to do with machinery. And with the skills, I've garnered quite, a lot of training. But the biggest challenge now is machinery.
So the process is, can you describe very briefly? So I assume it's not a fully automated process, but you need the machines to make it, right? It's not something that you must do by hand.
Yeah.
The machinery is quite expensive. I mean, are we talking like about some huge machines that do all the packaging, or is it?
No, it depends. The stages. Anything between $100,000 to $200,000 can set you on a good stage, because what you do, the basic thing you need to do is to roast the beans. You need to grind the beans to make it into the chocolate, and then you need to temper it. Tempering process is very important, because if you don't temper, you don't have no chocolate.
Yeah.
The tempering process is what gives you the end product as chocolate.
Right.
Yeah. So those things are very, so after tempering, then you need your packaging and your molds and all the packaging. But the essential are the ones that get you to the chocolate stage: the roasting, the grinding, the tempering. That is what, yeah.
It would be really nice. I mean, I wish we'll work closer so that we can maybe bring a group of students to your factory production floor just to see how it's made.
Right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in town.
That would be, yeah. Well, maybe one day. So another question about marketing and social media presence. Do you use any like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram for promotion?
Right. Now I have there's a company that I've hired to do those things for me. So what they've done, they said they've done Instagram handles, they've done a Twitter, they've done Facebook and stuff. But I'm yet to experience it, because a few people that I've shared it with say that there's nothing going on apart from the website. There's nothing going on Instagram, and there's nothing going on Twitter. So I have to revisit the issue, because I've been so busy trying to get myself ready, because now we're nearing Christmas. So because I hired them, I thought, I was thinking they're going to do what they're supposed to do. But a few people I've shared the handles with are saying that it's not really up and doing. So I have to. But Twitter has been created, Instagram has been created, a Facebook page has been created, and what else? Okay, apart from website. So yeah.
So for the students, then again, that's an opportunity for you students maybe to suggest some better strategies for social media advertisement. I know in the past our students had some very good ideas, and maybe even create some blog posts or maybe some content that the company can put online and test if it's working.
Okay.
There's another question, very interesting question from Garvita Agarwal. So what inspired you to make chocolate in the first place? I mean, this is a kind of unusual product, so why chocolate?
Yeah. I was working, I was based in Germany, and I was working for the American Army as a independent contractor, like sales and marketing. So I was going around Europe and all that, working for an American brokerage firm, and so I was handling perishables, perishables, semi-perishables, and non-perishable items. So one of my colleagues had to suddenly leave town. So then her portfolio was given to me to handle. And the portfolio consisted of confectionery, that's sweets, chocolate, and all that. So when I took over, I just became amazed at how people consume chocolate. I mean, chocolate consumption was, the shelves were emptied every day.
Yeah. Well,
so that gave me an idea. Yeah, that gave me an idea.
Product. I mean, we are all addicted to chocolate. I mean, like.
Yeah. Even though I lived in Germany and I used to travel to Switzerland a lot, I knew that was their culture. But I was amazed at how Americans could consume chocolate. Such large amount of chocolate. especially during Halloween,
Yeah.
Valentine, Christmas.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
was amazed.
In a few weeks.
Yeah, so I decided,
Yeah.
that, hey, I mean, I asked myself a few questions. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. We have cocoa back home in Ghana. I mean, we actually grow the cocoa. We are the second highest producer in the world. What am I doing in Germany?
Yeah.
Why don't I go back home and start something? I mean, even though I don't have anything, but let me just go back and start something. So that's what inspired me to come home to start.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. But yeah, it's a product that everybody loves. So I guess why not? Why not chocolate?
Yeah.
Now, many of our students would like to basically be in a few years where you are today. So many of our students are thinking about doing their, opening their own businesses. And so the question that we all often get is, if you could go back in time to 2006 when you started the company, what would you do differently over these, 14 years? Any things that you wish you kind of did differently?
Okay. Not much. The most important thing is to stay focused. You get a lot of offers like, partnership and all that, but before you partner with anybody, you need to make sure that you have your bases covered. You need to train as much as possible in the making of chocolate. Get as much information on the production of chocolate, get to understand it, be as creative as possible. So you have to use every available means. For example, as attending seminars, attending training sessions, networking with top chocolate chefs to arm yourself with the knowledge and skill set. And then also, with the little money you get, you have to start investing that in machinery, which will help you a great deal, because you can't do everything by hand. In fact, manually, it's very difficult. So you need the machinery. So with every little money you make on any sale, keep that money and reinvest it in a company, because even though it's going to take a while, well, in Ghana here it's difficult, but over there you can get some help. But then whatever you do, you need to invest in machinery and training. It's very important.
Of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense. There is an interesting question. Do you believe you could license different, your packaging from companies like Disney and make sort of branded products like, I don't know, Mickey Mouse, I guess, shaped chocolate or something?
I do that all the time.
Oh, you
I do that all the time because people come in. There's one particular company that I had to design a mold for. So every time that they come, chocolate, National Chocolate Day or something, I use them. And that's what they want. So, heart shaped and with the inscription on it. I do that all the time. Yeah.
All right, we're almost out of time. We have another webinar in a few minutes. I personally see a huge potential here. I mean, just the fact that this chocolate is from Africa, from Ghana, it makes it exotic, it makes it unusual. I've never seen chocolate from Ghana, for example. I mean, I see chocolate like from Germany or Switzerland, but those are generic things. So telling me there is a huge potential for your product in the global market, just because it could be sold as exotic, as unique, probably can be much more expensive than just the generic, things that we all know.
Yeah.
So
the most interesting thing about my chocolates is that I don't use any preservatives.
Yeah, and that's
solely So when you eat it, you can taste the cocoa. You can taste,
So because the truth is, some of these confectioneries do taste a little like plastic, I guess, especially the ones from the big companies. So I guess it would be interesting. So for the students, that's your opportunity to help the company to develop a strategy for a global market. And then maybe, I don't know, if you want to maybe talk to the local stores where you are and see if you can organize for some sort of a shipment contract. So it would be an interesting, interesting thing to try, and maybe you will succeed. And as somebody says in the comments now, so the fact that you use no preservatives, that could be a big marketing selling point. So of course. Well, thank you so much. So students, good luck with the challenge. And so we will be, if there will be any questions, we will be in touch by email. And
sure. I've seen some questions and answers here. So if they could type it, send it to me by email so I can respond since we've run out of time.
I also got a few questions by email, so I'll try to create a collection and then forward.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.